It'd be cool if you guys could hear me, huh? Hopefully that's better. All right, we are going live to talk today about our mindfulness chocolate HR workplace workshop that we're going to have on April 10th that we're so excited about. And we have Melissa from MYRetreat joining us. We're trying to get her on. All right, let's see. Bear with us, folks. All right, let's see. All right, we might have to do this the old-fashioned way. Okay, so while we're waiting and while this thing gets up and running, I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do for this awesome webinar we have coming up. Or it's a webinar. It's a workshop. It's an online workshop we're going to be doing. I can hear myself twice. This is going real good here in the beginning. So, a few months ago, we touched base with Melissa at MYRetreat and found that we have a lot in common. She holds these amazing team workshops all surrounded in mindfulness, and she does this through chocolate, which is my favorite and most of our favorites. And previous to my conscious HR life, my life was heavily embedded in mindfulness and all things spirit and energy, as I'm also a medium, as some of you may know. And a lot of my work surrounded mindfulness in the workplace as well. So we had a really great conversation. I really, really love what she is doing with her teams. And we decided to offer something pretty cool and do it virtually. So on April 10th, we are going to be having a workshop about 90 minutes where you will first get sent a cute little welcome bin. All right, we're going to have Melissa jump on in a minute. A cute little welcome basket from Melissa and a little treat from us as well. And we will have you open up that box during that session so that you can have a tangible experience in mindfulness as you're also learning and actually getting some things done and getting information as far as how to bring that intention into your teams as well. Hi, Melissa.
Hello. Look at me matching the background color.
Oh, well, and I just took it away as soon as you said that.
It's good
Very
to be here with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for joining us. We had a little tech difficulty in the beginning. We never quite know how it's gonna go, but we
This
made
is the way it's meant to be.
it. Thank you for that. I feel like I need your voice in my ear whenever I'm like starting to panic a little bit. Like, listen, this is
That's
just
what we
what it
bank on. That's what my business is built on. And thank you. I receive it.
is. Yeah, perfect. I literally I think I'm just gonna listen to this recording from now on. So I was just talking a little bit about our upcoming workshop and
Nice.
kind of what it's all about, what to expect. So why don't we hear from you? I want to know I kind of told a little backstory about how we met and how we have a bit in common about my previous business and what I did from a mindfulness standpoint, and how I didn't get to the point yet where I was talking about how we've incorporated that energy, that spirit, that intention, that mindfulness into HR and what we do for our clients as a whole. So,
Yep.
why don't you talk a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you bring all of that through the wonderfulness of chocolate?
Well, I was listening in through Instagram, and the exact response that you gave when you said how much you love chocolate and you lit up, that's the reason why we chose chocolate, right? Chocolate is a love language. It is something where people, they have in common, right? They remember all of these stories from their family, and they can bring that into a space and share, right, about what it makes them feel when they have that chocolate, and actually literally share the chocolate so other people can experience it in real time with them. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever worked in an office where people have a little candy jar and they have chocolate out. Was
That's
that ever your
I
thing?
stayed. Yeah. It was the Hershey's that kept me coming. Yeah.
Yep. So it's common for that to be there, right? As a conversation starter, as a draw, it's magnetic to have chocolate on your desk. People will come. And so now, with the culture of more remote and hybrid teams, we wanted to still have that same ethos, that same feeling of connection and support and appreciation that that bowl used to have,
Yeah.
and still, exemplifies, but bring it through the mail, right, to groups that they can then still share those same emotions and conversations and go a little bit deeper while they're at it.
Yeah. And who doesn't love a good unboxing, right?
Accurate.
Especially with treats inside.
Mhm.
It is just such a unique thing for you to bring to teams, to the world of work, and you're doing amazing things with it. So thank you for sharing it with us, and thank you for connecting with me and making sure that we can bring it into the world of HR and the doing and kind of the managing of things too. Um,
Absolute pleasure.
yeah. I know, we are an HR service company. We go in and we do HR for our clients that only have maybe the HR hat wearer or don't have anybody at all to do it. So we step in to be that HR team when they don't have their own HR team. And experience doing that both at Conscious HR and in my previous world, the most stressed people aren't always the employees. I mean, employees are stressed for a lot of reasons, but it's the leaders because they're wearing so many hats. And especially in small business, it's always it if you're thinking about it conceptually, if you're just kind of like, "Hey, what do you do all week?" HR is usually the last thing they're thinking about, but in reality, it's what they're doing 24/7 all the time. HR is working with people, leading your people, developing your people, handling issues with your people, and laughing with your people and enjoying with those people too. So, it's really leadership that I chose to go into business to support. And leadership could be your team lead, it could be your manager, your director, the business owner. We work particularly with small business, so typically it's the owner or like an operations director or something. So those are the people who I think could use a lot of these mindful strategies, because it's really, really hard when you are in the middle of the doing and the strategy. It can get really chaotic. And then to have to go in front of your employee from a strong standpoint and say, like, hey, I got it all together, because we do not always have it all together.
Absolutely fair, and something that we see, right, as I'm a licensed master social worker, so I got to see it behind closed doors, I get to see
Mhm.
it in the office space. What I would add to everything that you so eloquently said is being that role model, right? So it's one thing to hire a mindfulness company to come in and work with everyone else. But if you're still not embodying those skill sets, they're going to see, okay, you think this is right for us, but you're not prioritizing taking care of yourself as HR.
Mhm.
So that balance of taking care of HR internally so that then you can take care of your people, and sometimes the people even take care of the employees take care of the people in HR, right? It
Oh,
can
yeah.
go both ways sometimes.
Mhm.
So it can be mutually beneficial as long as we start with ourselves first.
For sure. Everything starts with leadership. And it's funny you say we have those employees who we depend on too. Like in my internal days of HR, like, I had my handful of people. HR, it can be a lonely place. There's only so many people, if anyone, that you can even just kind of vent with, because everything is so confidential.
Yep.
Everything has so much impact. Every decision, every communication, And if you've listened to me talk at all, you've probably heard me say that HR is so much more PR and marketing than it is anything else. So even just being able to be like, oh my God, you're never going to believe what happened today, I'm not surprised that you heard all of those stories from behind closed doors, because often the people that are wearing the HR hat have no one to tell it to, including the boss. I could go into a whole scenario about, HR's role and the interpretation of that role, but it can be a lonely place. So having strategies and goodness to be able to just get through kind of the chaos, including building your team of people who are trusted and the certain level that you can share with, is really important. So that team dynamic goes even beyond just the leadership dynamic too.
And that's why this is such a sweet pairing, because of the expertise that you bring to the table, Lindsay, and also what team building using chocolate, not trust falls, brings as well.
I'm obsessed with that.
Have you ever had to do trust falls, right? Like new job, close your eyes and fall backwards off a plank.
Oh yeah. My very first job out of college, very corporate, very large corporation. We had, some employee retreat, and we had to do trust falls. And I just remember being the whole idea is that you're uncomfortable, right? But it wasn't like I'm uncomfortable with my colleagues. It stressed me out. Just like, I'm like, there's other ways that we can build trust, and I would much prefer eating some chocolate.
The first way you mentioned is unnecessary discomfort, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Unnecessary. Like, we have enough necessary. We don't need to add on the unnecessary on top of it.
Absolutely.
So how, in doing this, as long as you've been doing these workshops, what would you say you've seen the biggest benefit in the long term? Like, how do you have clients come back to you after a certain period of time saying, like, this is how things have changed, these are things we've noticed? Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. There's so many ways to answer that question, but I'll give one example of a story from this past week. So it was February break for a lot of families with kids, and one of my clients from, I want to say 5 years ago now, she texted me and she said, with everything going on with airplanes lately, she said she got really nervous before getting on her flight, but she wanted to go on this trip with her family, and that she paused and ate a piece of chocolate using all of her senses the way that we do in our sessions. And she said it brought her a moment of peace and helped her get over that hurdle of that anxiety that she was experiencing. And so that's just one of hundreds of text messages and emails that I've received over the years. My favorites, although I'm so grateful that she reached out about that. One of my favorites.
When you get that validation later on, yeah.
Awesome. One of the favorites is before going out in front of an audience. So a lot of people are speaking at conferences, right? They're leading summits. They're doing, standing in front of the board, and they want a way to pause and take care of themselves first before they move forward. And so, of course, when I do these sessions, it's not an hour of eating chocolate. That is not what we do, but it's a small, right? A small piece of chocolate. But we do things like visualization practice, which you know well, very well, that all sorts of athletes and people in corporate, right, use that practice to help get them grounded and visualize what's about to happen, so that it doesn't feel like the first time it happens. When it happens, you've walked through it in your mind and you've had a successful outcome in your mind when you're visualizing that. So that's another thing that people say is they'll do our guided imagery practice, of course, give themselves a small piece of chocolate, which is that tangible reward that we recommend when you're doing habit stacking. And then they're reaching back out and saying they didn't feel nervous. They really felt present and were connecting with the audience or their colleagues or whatever the case may be. But I love, love, love those stories.
Yeah. Anybody who's listening, like, getting any type of notice down the line or any thank you or any just random tidbit is the best thing to get as a business owner. It just gives us that extra little boost that we need to be like, hey, we did some good. And when you're in the business of a mission driven business. Sometimes that's really, really needed. Is like that's why we're doing what we do, is to make people better. I know my entire thing in Conscious HR and in all of my businesses and all of my ventures is better people, better business, better communities. And any little note or any tidbit I get from a past client, a current client, even a future client that's like, hey, this happened today and I just wanted to share with you. It's what keeps us going. And that goes for anybody, right? For business owners, but for leaders also, from their employees, from their managers. It's just that extra little bit of encouragement that takes no money. It takes nothing other than just a quick thought. And I think that's what I love so much about mindfulness is it gives you, again, those tools, those tangible tools and the steps, the practical steps to be able to slow down and think about those things. Because when we're just charging along in our day, it gets, like, for me, it gets real loud up in here, and you tend to forget that, like, that connection is really why we're all here doing what we do. So anything we can do to foster creating that opportunity for connection, even if it's just a few seconds, I think is the only reason worth doing anything. I don't know
Most
about you.
definitely, and I think we should add that to when we are gathering in just under 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, wait.
no,
Oh, a
we
month.
have under 2 weeks. Yes. Yeah,
I
let
was
me
like,
get
wait a
ahead of
minute.
myself. We have under 2 weeks to get in the chocolate orders in our care package, right? So we wanna make sure that everybody by March 10th has registered, as soon as they're able so that we can get that to them. But then the event, of course, itself is in April. So,
Yeah.
but I would love to add that to our chats, maybe at the beginning, just an affirmation, or if colleagues are there together, which we truly recommend you
Yes. We
you
hope the
do.
teams join. Yes.
Yep, send the whole team. That way, they'll be able to share with one another in real time what they're grateful for.
Mhm.
Even if it is private message, right? They can send it directly right then and there. So we'll take note and make sure to make that happen. I'm curious, Lindsay, where do you put your uh, messages, if they're handwritten or otherwise? Do you collect them anywhere when people send you gratitude?
I keep, because a lot of my incoming just comes through email, so I keep one folder that's literally called good stuff. Years ago, I had a colleague tell me they keep a good stuff folder, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's my jam, that's my language, it's perfect." And I've done that for probably 15 years. I just keep a good stuff folder. I file it away, and then when I need a boost, I'll literally just go through that folder and just kind of scroll. That's for, most of the work related stuff, but I do have a little almost like a little altar right in front of me, right on my keyboard, right below here. And it's like one of those clear mats that goes on the desk. And
Mhm.
underneath it, I just have a bunch of post-its, things I've printed out, some step-by-step things, notes my daughter writes me. So when I'm at my desk, it's literally right in front of me underneath.
That.
If you want to know behind the scenes of Lindsay Mastro, I've got the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. I've got a above and below the line note also from conscious leadership. I
Mhm.
have a note from my daughter that says radiate positive energy. Um, and then I have another one that I wrote, and I think I channeled this at some point in my psychic-ness, but it says ego versus growth. And that I don't even remember how it came across, but I remember it being very important, a very important message to me in particular, to always remember when I'm making decisions, am I doing this for the purpose of growth, or am I doing this because it's making me feel good right now?
Yes.
And sometimes we do need just that little bit of feel good right now. Like, there's a balance, right? But
Mhm.
especially, yeah, being a small business owner, it's so important to me that I maintain close to my values, which are also under here. So that's just a really quick, it literally like ripped piece of paper reminder to myself: ego versus growth.
I
So
love that for you. And even just the visual of having it under that plastic mat, right? So it's not like they're Post-its that are peeling off or being pushed around. It just stays where you put it. That's brilliant. I love it.
yeah, I stole that from my grandfather, actually. He used to have a plastic mat on his desk. And I was like,
Oh,
I want one of those.
Yes,
I put different stuff under mine, but it's the same idea. I love
it is.
it.
Wow. Well,
So
kudos to your grandfather.
he's a cool guy. So yeah, I'm super excited about this workshop, and a lot of what I do, I'm obsessed with bringing the practical strategy into what we do, and simply like there's a million different mindfulness exercises you can do.
Mhm.
Um, in the ones I've taught in the past, and just in the general conversation surrounding meditation and mindfulness and intention, the number one thing that I hear is I can't focus, my
Mm,
brain's too loud, my head's too loud, I can't turn off my thoughts. And that's the number one thing I get when talking about meditation in particular. And visualizations, when I was going through my own journey of figuring out how to do this thing, visualizations is really what helped me because it made my brain focus on something I was creating
yeah,
rather than hearing
yep,
another, my own thoughts or somebody else's thoughts. And I think adding in the chocolate makes it that much more grounded and attached to right now what's going on. So you're getting that full sensory experience while also focusing on the present moment. And having that thing from the earth is so much more impactful to focus on than just thinking yourself to death into a meditation.
yeah, most definitely. And what we love to focus on beyond the flavor and the texture and the sight and the sound of it even breaking is the fact that chocolate doesn't grow on the shelves at the store, right?
Mhm.
Somebody intentionally planted that seed, which grew into a cacao pod, which then, was picked and went through this whole process. And so that's one piece. While people are saying, wow, this is so delicious, they're also thinking about the farmer that made it possible for you to savor that piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of overlaps
Mhm.
between that and the agriculture piece to the workplace,
Yeah.
where yes, you just gave this wonderful presentation, but let's think about all that it took to get you there. The people who supported you, your colleagues, the resources, the time, right? There was a lot that went into what looks from the outside like instant success, right? So that's one piece, and another is a lot of the chocolate companies that we work with, actually all of them, give back in one way
Mhm.
to the community, whether it's to restoring waterways or reforestation or right. There's so many ways that small chocolate companies that have chocolatiers in-house that they give back through chocolate is incredible. And people who know the story of where the money from the chocolate goes, uh,
Mhm.
they have a greater sense of purpose with eating that chocolate. They have a greater connection to it. And again, that relates to the workplace as well, because a lot of companies have nonprofits that they give to, or a larger vision that helps tether people to the reality of what they're doing and the impact that they're truly making, even though the daily grind can feel mundane at times. There's
Mhm.
a bigger purpose. And so we start with the chocolate and then we get where we're going.
Yeah. I love that you said mundane. Our at Conscious HR internally, one of our values is finding the magic in the mundane,
Mm,
and it's just that constant reminder to be looking for that connection to the outside of the day to day, and just making things more fun and loving and hilarious, and just like we're doing what we're doing because we're humans and we're doing the thing, and we have to live in this 3D world, right? But we also have energy and spirit that we have to cultivate. So anything we can do to stretch outside of the robotness of our day to day is wonderful. And I'm so excited to bring this to our people and our teams and new teams.
absolutely.
So, yeah, I have the link scrolling right on this video. You can head to conscioushr.co/links. You'll see the link there for registering for this workshop. Make sure to get your tickets before March 10th so that you can get your wonderful little care package. And we will hopefully see you on April 10th. And you'll see a few options on there. Melissa had mentioned that we would love for full teams to come. So you'll see an option for an individual ticket and also for teams. You save a whole lot on that registration when you invite your whole team. So we want as many people to experience this as possible. So please, we invite you. We're excited to see you and experience this along with us. I'm sure, Melissa, in doing this, like, you must never get tired of it.
Absolutely not.
What
No,
what's do you see a difference in different sessions, like different cultures with, all the different workshops you do?
every single time, even when there are groups that we work with monthly, there are teams that we work with quarterly, even the same team, because each time we have a different intention, sometimes we have a different chocolate,
Mhm.
a different focus for the gratitude journaling. It's always a different experience. And I liken it to when I go to the Body and Mind Float Center
Oh, yes.
here. Yeah.
Mhm.
So anywhere that you are, if you go into a float, the first time I did it, it felt so relaxing and calming. And that's because I believe I went there to celebrate.
Mhm.
I accomplished something. I rewarded myself. It felt so good. The
Yeah.
next time I was seeking that experience and I was feeling overwhelmed and I wanted to feel better. So I went there and I felt the opposite. I felt like
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
overwhelmed while I was in there, right? So, since then, I've gone many more times, and you train your brain to connect emotions and feelings with a place, and it works really well for me. But I share that because each time we're coming with our own mind drama, right? The
Mhm.
things that we just experienced or we know that we're going to experience, and so people, the more they practice, and especially because it's attached to the smell of chocolate and the flavor, all of these senses, it quickly helps those other things to dissolve so you can have a true break in your day. And who doesn't want to have a mini escape in the middle of their day before moving into the tough stuff? And sometimes for some people, pausing to meditate is the tough thing, right? And it's good
Mhm.
to challenge yourself, and over time, it gets easier and easier.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get my care package too, so I can enjoy it with everyone else.
Looking forward to sending it to you.
Yeah. So thank you for chatting with me today. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to myself or Melissa. We're more than happy to talk more details about the workshop. We would love to see you there. And any last thoughts or anything?
I just think it's a phenomenal value if we were to actually do the mathematical breakdown of what our services
Yes.
cost. This is a no-brainer. You want to come, you want to experience it, you want to share this uh, expertise on HR and on mindfulness with your team. So I am incredibly grateful for everyone who chooses to join us, and I look forward to seeing you then.
Me too. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.